Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have an update today, the morning after Charity's finale of The Bachelorette. Charity found love, but love found a hopeless place in Jason and Kaitlyn's relationship. Jason Tartick and Kaitlyn Bristowe both have a unique situation where they have weekly, if not bi-weekly, episodes of their podcast speaking to their audience about their personal lives. Jason's as it centers around the finance world, and Kaitlyn just as a real influencer based conversations, and now we've got their updates. Jason mentions that he's getting a new place. He's in a short-term rental. Kaitlyn gives her honest update how she feels about the fact that two of her recent exes are both having babies, that being Sean Booth and Nick Viall, and she says the friendship is not there yet with Jason. Very interesting. We're going to play both of their thoughts right now. Follow me on Instagram at dneals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content. I'll be live at the 10 a.m. hour this morning to talk more about their relationship and all the other things going down from last night's finale of The Bachelorette, and every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. All right, let's get into it. First, I'm going to share the 3-minute clip of Jason's update. It's on the audio only of his podcast, and then we've got Kaitlyn, what she has to say regarding where they are in their relationship. Let's have a listen to Jason.
Ramen barking. Kaitlyn has been in LA working this week, so I've been lucky enough to have the boys with me, and it has been just a true blessing. I just think through this time, and it's like, honestly, we talk a lot about careers and money here, and that is a huge foundation to our life, but it just comes down to relationships, friendships, and those who are around you. And even though Robin and Pino are animals and pets, they're best friends to me, and just having them with me has been amazing. Having a great support system in the last, month to a few months has been everything to me. I've leaned on them harder than I've ever in my life leaned on my support system. And I think what I've realized, I go to therapy tomorrow. Actually, I can't wait. 90-minute session. Like, I need it so bad. But what I've just realized is that there's no timeline on handling grief. In being in love with someone and losing that someone, it's just sad. It's lonely. It's an empty feeling. And there's times where you have these just tidal waves of depression. But then there are these times where you feel lifted and you feel good again. And it's just this back and forth flood of emotions. And what I'm learning is that, grieving is just the whole process of honoring, respecting, and having love for what was, but then also at the same time, with the same level, and if not more, honoring, respecting, and having love for what is.
Oh my gosh, the poetic nature of Jason Tartick. Who knew Buffalo's Own and literally he's got the lyrics to a country song. Sad, lonely, empty feeling, tidal wave of depression. Real sad and yet truthful moments here where Jason tells you just how hard he feels. Kaitlyn shares it in a different way. Kaitlyn, and again, how everyone processes their grief, it's with full respect up to them. But Jason's getting really into his emotions here, and I love it.
But we'll get there. We'll get there with work, with time, with support, with friends, family, healing, and all the things. So as I move forward to my next steps, I'll be in a short-term rental, and then I will be in the process of looking through real estate. I've already actually started that journey. So as I get more information and as I go through that process, of course, I'll keep all of you updated on the numbers and the structures and the negotiations and some of the things I'm thinking from a real estate perspective, as that does pertain to what we do here on Trading Secrets.
Boy, I think this is a fantastic idea by Jason Tartick to discuss the home buying process. I've been looking for homes in Los Angeles, but also in Nashville where Jason lives, and I found this home. I'll be discussing this. This is one of the things I do on the Patreon where I'll share the different homes that I find. This is a very doable home here in Nashville with multiple fire pits and an infinity pool and jacuzzi with water fountain feature. I mean, sold. Like, what the hell? It's a little tacky, but don't you love a little tackiness? I mean, I could be like Liberace out there hanging out doing power recapping. All right, so we got Jason's response. Now we're going to go to what Kaitlyn said on our recent podcast today. But first, and we shared this already, but just to tie it all in, just to get a glimpse of what Kaitlyn's dealing with, you know, these, I hate to say they're these these ideological timelines, because we always talk about biological clocks. They exist for men and women, but in different ways. And if like when a relationship ends in your late 30s, you're like, all right, what is it going to take? Another 3 or 4 years for me to do this? And then I'm this age. And it's the whole idea of to compare is despair. But hey, it's what we do out there. Here's Kaitlyn talking about the fact that 2 of her exes are having children.
Like it.
Well, I feel
which
like,
attributes to your success.
especially now that, 2 of my exes from the show, the main exes, are both having babies and I'm going through a breakup, I feel like they're like, we need to hear your thoughts.
But you don't have to.
No.
If you want to know.
And so that was Kaitlyn's only way of commenting on it, and Rachel diffusing her and saying, you don't have to share that with people. You don't have to share how it makes you feel. But of course, Kaitlyn, as she's going through her breakup, does have to. And some people said, oh, who cares if your exes are having babies? Like, I get it. I understand. But you also have to empathize with how that must feel when your career and your life is built online like this idea that who's winning the breakup, who's doing better. It should not be that way. I completely agree with you. But I think we'd be very ignorant to say that it doesn't play a factor. When your chips are down and you see that the people that you used to be with are possibly thriving, it can be very difficult. Here's what Kaitlyn had to say on today's podcast.
When I was engaged. Oh, God. I really wanted a New Year's wedding.
It's really fun.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun for people. People with kids don't love it because it's really hard to find like a sitter on New Year's Eve.
Oh,
nannies are off. But sort of not my problem.
Yeah, no, not your problem at all.
You know?
And if they want to be there, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And everyone wears like something that they feel good in for New Year's Eve. And
was it a no kids wedding? I know some people have put that policy in place.
Yeah, it was a no kids wedding, but then I ended up kind of regretting it because a bunch of kids wanted to come. And I don't know. I just wanted people to like take mushrooms and have fun and not feel like their kids were pulling on them, you know? But in the end, people wanted their kids there because it was like New Year's Eve and they didn't really know how to do it both. So I was like, whatever, I don't care.
That's good feedback for maybe if I ever get married. I need to stop having a pity party over here.
No, I think this is fresh. And like, it's okay that everything feels about you right now because you're going through something traumatic.
You guys will probably get back together next month.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
So this is Kaitlyn's friend Lo, who is a like real solid mutual friend. Like he's not picking sides, but he really wants them to get back together. Probably like most people that see their breakup, they go, wait a second, you weren't prioritizing each other. And you love each other, so couldn't you just start prioritizing each other? And then it's the idea of like, do you love each other enough to be in that moment, or has the ship sailed? Sometimes the ship sailed, but what might have been better is if they just said, hey, let's take a 2-month break and then see if we miss each other enough. And maybe they did that. Maybe that's why they waited so long before announcing it, that they took a long break and they're like, yeah, we just need to move on from this. Maybe they come back and Kaitlyn wants to get back together and Jason doesn't. Maybe Kaitlyn was the initial one who broke them up. Maybe it was Jason looking at it as like a type A personality going, if this relationship was a business, we would have to close down shop. It's just not working. So we really don't know. We can speculate kindly, but we really don't know. The odds of them getting back together, if I had to place a bet, would be under 5%.
He is the child in the
I'm trying
divorce.
to parent trap.
He's trying to parent trap us.
Okay, so you want them back together.
Of course.
Right.
Oh my God, he did a whole post on Instagram about our breakup.
Only because, okay.
Well, that's why you got blocked.
That's
Muted.
why you're muted.
Oh, sorry, muted.
To basically take some of the sting out.
No, I know. I get your
because
humor.
so many people, and there was a bit of humor there, but it was more so because I was inundated with so many DMs from people, messages about whose side I'm going to take. And I was like, that's lame. Like, there is no side. So that's basically what I said. There's no side. I love them both. And here's cute pictures of us. Now I'm going to go cry.
Now I'm going to go cry. Yeah. I know I accidentally, because you know how Instagram is just such a immediate thing. Like you go to sit on the toilet and you're like, Instagram. I've done it so many times and then I go, and every single time your pictures came up because it was like a 10 slideshow. And so I like pull it up and go, and then like the next morning I do it, it's just the next slide over and I'm like, get out of here. So I was like, Maggie,
Jason on one knee.
Oh my God.
So Kaitlyn Bristowe, it sounds like she said, "Go Maggie, go mute." So she was having her assistant mute people. As we know, Kaitlyn was off the internet for, I don't know, 8 or 9 days or whatever. She comes back and does a Q&A and says this during the East Coast taping of The Bachelorette. "I'm sad for Joey, but in the end, they were the same people, needed strength." And then afterwards, she got inundated with people saying, "Hey, you just spoiled the ending for us, you jackass." And here's her response to that, which angered some people. She said, "If anyone comes after me for spoilers, that's on you. This is the internet. If I can stay off it for 2 weeks, you can stay off it until you watch. Love ya." And that really pissed people off. But I actually agree with Kaitlyn. For me, spoilers only really exist for the East Coast audience. Like, I live on the West Coast, but if I end up opening my website, my Facebook, my Instagram, or whatever, all of the magazines on the East Coast, that's when People Magazine, that's when Deadline and everyone, that's when they release their PR for whoever won. So as soon as it happens on the East Coast, that's when the spoiler ends, and you just have to accept the fact that if you don't want to be spoiled and you're not on the East Coast, turn off your internet. That's my thought on that. Either way, someone said, "You need to stay off longer." Rude. They said that to Kaitlyn, and she responded, "Setting boundaries with it right now, so consider yourself blocked." Good on you, Kaitlyn. Block these people. I think, and this might be tough for some people to hear, I think I've learned to empathize more with the influencers because I can see how incredibly toxic it can be to deal with people online. So I had this video I made yesterday. I'm not going to share it right now, but someone had criticized me right here for having a conversation about the food we consume. Me and Brian Abasola, we talked about the food we consume. I talked about how sugar and I've had a hate relationship with sugar, where when I start eating it, I can't stop. It hurts my brain, my focus power. I get lethargic. I get panicky. I get anxiety. I talk about how bad it is for my processors in my brain. I talk about all that. Every single time I talk about that, people come out of the woodworks to talk to me about how they have the same struggle. It's very cathartic. It's very inspirational to know that I'm not alone in those struggles that I have. I mean, the country, corporations, they've put sugar into everything. You can't have ketchup or salad dressing. They put sugar into breads to the fact that even in Ireland, they're like, this Subway sandwich isn't even real bread. You know what I mean? They passed a law that said Subway can't call it bread because it's just fluffed up with corn syrup and all that jazz. Point being, I talk about all these things with boatloads of empathy. And one of the first comments I got from somebody, stranger, somebody I'd never met before, was, "You need to go to a therapist." And it's like, look, you might not be wrong, but you can't talk to people like that. And the way and how rude we are as a comment section in the way we talk to people, I can't help but empathize with someone like Kaitlyn, because you and I have no idea the amount of torture she goes through when she reads a small percentage of your comments. I'm saying you collectively as an audience, your comments as they exist and as they call her out for every little detail or everything they disagree with about her. I've got a boatload of people telling me not to have a conversation because some people also suffer from eating disorders. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair for me to silence what is an otherwise good faith conversation because some people have triggers regarding it. We all have to deal with heavy issues that exist out there in different ways. How do I tie this all back to Kaitlyn? She's literally, and again, she got off Instagram, and maybe she should have stayed off Instagram, although I don't think she should have to, but maybe it just might be better for her health. But the second she comes back on, people are coming right back at her. It's like she closed the door to all the chaos, took 2 weeks off, starts to open it, and blah, 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 and there it is again. These aren't real humans. You might be real, but you're not real on Instagram. You're not a real person. You're just a fragment of who you are. It always comes off wrong, the way people shout out their thoughts to others about how they should act. And again, maybe this will be an instance where Kaitlyn touches the pan, realizes it's still hot, and go, nope, I thought I could get through this and I can't. I know for my own mental health, I have to severely limit my responses to the comments. I probably won't read any comments for the rest of the week on my YouTube. It's a struggle because here I am trying to grow my podcast. Here I am trying to grow my Instagram, and I have to deal with some of these real rude, bad faith actors, people that don't want to have a good conversation, people that want to silence you, and all these other things. And you have to deal with them in your pocket when I'm trying to use my social media to promote a stand-up show where I just tell some goddamn jokes. Do you know what I mean, folks? Make people laugh. Make people feel like they're part of a community. That's all I want to do. But part of that, and I'm relating it back to Kaitlyn, because part of that, it's like, how do you get off the internet? How do you get off of this addiction when you use it and it's so ingrained into daily life? I don't have an answer, but I hope in sharing my own personal sort of journey that people can empathize that it does suck, that it does take a toll, a beat down, and we're all human souls flying around this earth trying our best. And just because some people have a blue check mark or an extra million followers doesn't make them immune to other people's bullshit. So Kaitlyn and Jason, they're doing a fantastic job. This was their update. We'll have more content right after this.